Hello, my name is Mejia Beal. I'm the chair of the Democratic Party of DuPage County. And in tonight's edition of Chair Chat, we are going to be talking to DuPage County's longest serving Democratic County Board member Liz Chaplin. Good evening, Ms. Chaplin. How are you doing today?
Good evening. I am doing fine. I'm doing well. We, just got back from some county board meetings, and I toured an open house of a food pantry in my district. So busy, but good.
All right. Well, Member Chaplin, I know you are super busy, and I want to jump right in and ask you some of the most important questions that are important to our voters. So number one, how has the political landscape changed serving from the DuPage Water Commission in the early 2000s to today?
Okay, that's it. From the early 2000s today, the political landscape has changed immensely. For example, when I was on the Water Commission, I was appointed in 2002. I was appointed in August. That fall, Brian and I had put Democratic signs in our yard. And the chairman of the Water Commission said, "Hey, I heard you have Democratic signs in your yard. Why?" And I'm like, "Well, we're Democrats." And then I was talking to a reporter off the record about it, and he said, well, what did the chairman say when you told him you were a Democrat? I said, well, he never asked, because the chairman appointed me to that spot. So I said, he never asked, and I never gave out that information. But I think in the early 2000s, it was assumed that everyone in DuPage was a Republican, right? And then, running for county board in 2012, there were a few of us. There weren't very many races. So, from going from basically not really having we had a party, but it was very small. And we didn't have any representatives at any levels in the early 2000s. There might have been a few like me, kind of like that were serving on boards and commissions, but that were not, you want to say, out of the closet maybe, or whatever you want to call it, right? We didn't say that yet. Compared to now, where we have almost every race filled, and we have wonderfully qualified candidates, which is so exciting. And, before we did have people run, and they were good candidates too, but, they knew that their chances of winning were slim to nothing. So I give them a lot of credit for putting their name out there and setting that path for people like me and others that came after them. But now that we're actually winning races and we have great candidates, it's just amazing, the change from the last 20 years.
Well, in your opinion, what is the most important aspect of being a county board member?
Well, I think the most important aspect of being a county board member is doing your homework and being prepared for meetings. Okay, so we have board rules, we have an ethics ordinance, we have all kinds of tools available to us. We have our Robert's Rules of Order, right? So to me, the most important aspect is going in prepared and knowing your rules, your Robert's rules, and your ethics ordinance. Because if you don't have basic understanding of that, it really puts you at a disadvantage being a county board member. And those Republicans, some of them that have been on there 20 years, they have those rules and Roberts, they have them memorized front and back. So really, and I think just being prepared for your meetings, that is really the most important thing.
Well, and you're clearly good at that because you were the only Democrat elected for 3 terms, I believe. So this might be a trick question for you, but what attributes do you believe that you have that has allowed you to be elected, the only Democrat elected for 3 terms?
Well, I think in the early, like in 2012, when I ran for county board, I had just come off the Water Commission. And I think people from both parties respected the work that I did on the Water Commission. I had a lot of help from people at DuPage United. They were a great support, but they were about the only support that I had at the time. So I think, like I said, it's showing up prepared, being professional, asking questions, but not being obnoxious, right? Challenging challenging the status quo, and standing up for what you believe in. And I think, even from the Republicans, I think, though I disagree with them many times, I think I really have earned a lot of their respect on the board floor. And also I'm very, I have an outstanding reputation in serving my constituents. They bring problems to me, and I really work hard to help find a solution to their problems. So, but like I said, just, being true to yourself, asking questions, challenging, and doing your homework and being prepared. And I think people recognize that on both sides.
This might be a weird question. So I am already anticipating, knock on wood, you getting elected again. What are your priorities?
Well, we're coming out of the pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we still have a lot of work to do in DuPage. And I know I heard last night, I listened and I agree, we have the mental health crisis and the opioids. And I think those are two of the biggest issues that we're going to be facing going into 2023 in the future. We also have homelessness and affordable housing. Now we're working on those a little bit right now. We put $5 million towards the homeless shelter in Downers Grove with the Red Roof Inn. We're working on accessory dwellings for our development zoning to allow people to have accessory dwellings on their property so that they can have a child or a parent live in that building. We also have a lot of social justice issues that we're dealing with that we have to address. I think it's important that everyone in DuPage County have the opportunity to thrive. And I want to make sure that, I think those are some big priorities. We have, inflation that we have to worry about. We want to make sure that we're using our tax dollars appropriately and wisely and not spending them foolishly. And I've always been a very responsible steward of our tax dollars. I pay taxes too, and I don't want them wasted on, things that really aren't under the county's authority.
And what are your proudest accomplishments as a appointed or an elected board member in your career?
Well, on the Water Commission, my proudest accomplishment is just, standing up to those 12 men on the board, telling them year after year after year that they couldn't continue the way they were doing business because they were going to run out of money. And it's not because I was a genius, it was right in the audit. It showed them running out of money. So I think, not being intimidated and not being afraid to speak my mind. So on the Water Commission, just standing up, and then we know the forensic audit came out and said, yes, Member Chaplin and Member Poole were really the only two commissioners that did their job. On the county board, most recently, I'm very proud of spearheading the effort to have Juneteenth made a holiday.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of having lifting the ban on sales of cannabis in the unincorporated area. Mm-hmm. For years on the county board before we had the majority, although they weren't accomplishments, I was the lone voice calling for, I asked so many times to have gun legislation that we would put in our legislative agenda, which never made it because I didn't have the support. But I was always, saying, hey, we need to have, I think it was HR 8, which was, I don't know if it was a background check bill, but I know I had one background check bill, one responsible owner bill before we had the majority of the board. This year, I brought forward the safe gun storage campaign legislation, and we actually approved that. It actually made it to one of the bills that we were supporting. Yeah. I also have been, I was proud to write a letter to our congressmen to ask for help for the Ukraine, including sending the weapons that they needed, which earned all the Republican support, and all but three of the Democrats signed on. So, these are leadership things that sometimes we have to get out of our comfort zone. We had a gentleman come from the Ukraine church in Bloomingdale and ask us for help, asking us to use our voice to help Ukraine. So I thought it was important that we did. Also in, I think it was 2017, we added to our legislative agenda, President Trump wanted to roll back President Obama's, some of his environmental legislation on prohibiting chemicals like TCE and PCE in water, which that impacted people in my neighborhood, people in West Chicago, all over DuPage. So that was another initiative I had put in the legislative agenda. And, you know, so those are just some of them, some of the accomplishments that I'm really proud of.
just a couple really major
few.
accomplishments that we are very grateful that you did.
Yes.
And I do have one more question for you. This is kind of a fun question. So I don't know if you're aware of this, but in some circles, you are called the Erin Brockovich of DuPage County because of your work in cleaning up and making sure that our water is good. So if you could tell me what your favorite Julia Roberts movie is and why, go for it.
Oh gosh, Julia Roberts movie. Oh, well, of course, it's, oh, I can't think of the name of it, but it's the water movie. It's, what was it called? Brian, what's that movie with Julia Roberts with the water?
It's Erin Brockovich.
Erin Brockovich. Yes, Erin Brockovich. Yes. Erin Brockovich. I would say that would be my favorite movie. Yes, in fact, Patty Bellick gave me that name.
Yes.
Yes, and that is another accomplishment I'm proud of, getting $1 million of ARPA dollars to help people in Downers Grove, my area, that are having issues with their water, hook up to safe water. So another good accomplishment. But that would be, yes, Erin Brockovich. Yes,
Erin okay. That was a funny moment. I was like, well, I just said the name of the movie is right
I know,
there.
and I'm like, what is the movie? Yes. Oh, you know, it's been a long day. You know.
It's okay. Well, Member Chaplin, I want to thank you for taking some time out of your day to have this chat with me, and can't wait for everyone to see it. And thank you guys for watching. Remember to vote for Member Chaplin. And Member Chaplin, where can folks find out more information about you and your campaign?
They can find more out from me at chaplainfordupage.com. And not only me, but I'm running with two great candidates, Paula Deacon Garcia and Ina Yu, and it's important that all three of us get elected. And we also have Tina Dyson Dunn in Forest Preserve District 2. So it's really important that when you go to vote, you vote for all three of us for County Board and Tina for Forest Preserve.
Got it. District 2, Paula,
Ina,
Tina.
Yes.
And our OG Liz Chaplin. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
And have a great evening, everyone.
Thanks. You too. Thanks. Appreciate it. Bye.
No problem. Good night.